наблюдателями, а у вас хорошо. Наблюдателями на выборы. За честные выборы.
Daniil Klubov is on a recruitment drive. He's looking for volunteer election monitors. Sign up as an observer, he calls, for a fair election. Every weekend, he and his friends work the streets of St. Petersburg for their cause. They're hoping to get thousands of people to man polling stations in St. Petersburg during next month's presidential elections. His goal, he tells me, is to prevent vote rigging. White is the color of their protest movement. It began in December, after parliamentary elections marred by allegations of fraud. Up until then, I had no great motivation to go out on the streets, he says. But now it seems like we get nothing but lies every day. And I've just had enough. What happened in the parliamentary elections on December 4th was so brazen, I was shocked. And I realized that if I didn't do anything, things were only going to get worse.
Это меня поразило, и я понял, что если сейчас не противостоять этой лжи, то завтра придет еще большая ложь.
But it's frustrating work. Few people here seem interested in the election. Most simply rush on by. So the sense of achievement is all the greater when Daniil finds someone who's willing to sign up as a voluntary election monitor, like this woman. He notes down her name, her email address, and her number. We'll contact you in a couple of days, he says, and invite you for training. I think anyone could monitor the elections, really, she says, and it would help our country gain greater freedom if everyone was keeping a close eye on how the election is run. Daniil is a full-time student. He's studying international relations and hopes to become a diplomat. He says that's why he wants to fight for a Russia he can be proud of. On the same evening of the parliamentary election, he set up his blog, St. Petersburg for Fair Elections. The first time he called for a protest from his blog, 1,000 demonstrators turned up in the city center. The police intervened immediately, he tells me. They arrested dozens, he says. And he himself started to receive threats. The threats were posted on my webpage from anonymous accounts, he says. We'll arrest you for 15 days. We'll prosecute you for extremism. You'll be thrown out of the university. I was really afraid. But now I'm not so easily intimidated. I believe there are many who share my opinion, even if they don't dare to say so openly. In the afternoon, they attend a rally. Various opposition groups have urged protesters to gather, including Daniil. Russia without Putin, they chant. Thousands have turned out. Daniil tells me he's delighted to see so many ordinary people demonstrating in St. Petersburg. He says it's largely due to his blog. Few here know him personally. The police are once again out in force, but don't intervene this time. Putin is a thief, they shout. He stole our votes. But slogans like these are all they have in common with the political opposition. Daniil and his friends don't trust the opposition leaders at all. They say many of them were previously in government themselves, under Putin, and are now only in opposition because they've fallen from grace. They don't believe that the opposition are really interested in change or in free and fair elections. They're just trying to use us for their own cause, Daniil says. That's regrettable. But fortunately, we haven't allowed that to influence us so far. We're not going out on the streets for them. We just want free and fair elections. We want everyone to abide by the law. We're not looking for a revolution. These opposition groups want to milk the protests for their own cause, another student tells me. But what I like is that ordinary people are taking part in the protests, not political organizations. I'm not demonstrating, she says, so that these groups can promote themselves at our expense. A demonstration like this is the ideal place for Daniel and his friends to find volunteers to monitor the presidential election. There are barely 3 weeks until the vote. But so far, less than 1,000 people have registered as potential election monitors in St. Petersburg. Daniel Klubov then leaves the protest. He has another important appointment. Alongside one of St. Petersburg's many canals, just a short walk from the demonstration, there are a number of art studios. Dancer and choreographer Nina Gasteva has a studio here too. She's come up with a series of hand movements to express peaceful protest against the Putin regime anytime, any place, without getting arrested. The vote riggers belong behind bars, they say. Nina Gasteva is now teaching the movements to Daniel Klubov and his team. Together, they're planning a larger initiative for the next anti-Putin rallies. By that time, they hope to have turned more slogans into hand movements. I'm particularly worried about these young people, says Nina Gasteva. Under the Soviet Union, I experienced for myself what stagnation means. I think it's a matter of self-respect, that I no longer just think of myself, but also give something to others. It's particularly important at the moment that people don't just follow the crowd, but that everyone can speak up for themselves. That's why I came up with this open system of gestures, so that everyone can express their opinion. Nina Gasteva tells me that she tried out her hand movements at the latest rallies in St. Petersburg. Daniel wants to record her doing the movements for his website. She's a well-known dancer here. He wants her to explain to others why she's protesting, and in particular, how she does it. This project that Nina is offering might help to create our own protest culture, he says. There have been repeated mass rallies, not just here in St. Petersburg, but throughout the country. There are so many different groups, and the question is, how do we create a sense of cohesion and oneness? Perhaps this body language is just the answer. Nina Gasteva demonstrates the main movements, while Daniel films her. He's already recorded more than 20 high-profile artists for his website. His parents are helping him with the financing. They too support the protest movement. Nina Gasteva is delighted that her sign language is about to spread to the masses so quickly. And Daniel Klubov is grateful for everything that widens the reach of his initiative. This is another one of our projects, he says. And if it means we can attract another 100 people for our cause, for free and fair elections and for election monitoring, then that's great. People who are interested in modern dance, for example, or in modern art, or maybe philosophy. We want to draw those kind of people too. Daniel Klubov doesn't believe that his home city of St. Petersburg has really woken up yet, or that they have enough people to prevent vote rigging next month. But he's determined not to give up. He says 3 months ago he'd never have believed that he could get 10,000 people following his website. But now he's on to his next appointment. He's meeting a friend from the election monitoring campaign to discuss how they can train the volunteers that have signed up. She's brought internet videos with her. They were recorded during the parliamentary elections in December using mobile phones. They're said to show the head of a polling station filling out ballot papers for Vladimir Putin's United Russia Party. At another polling station, voting papers lying in a ballot box already filled out in support of the governing party before voting had even begun. The group wants to use the videos during training to warn their volunteers that they may face stiff opposition from election officers. No one listens to the OSCE when they report on vote rigging, Daniel tells me. But people may be more prepared to listen to us because we live here, and many people know us personally. They're more willing to trust us. I believe we'll be far more effective than international election observers. Obviously, there has to be international monitors too, but we need to finally have good local observers inside Russia itself. Daniel and his team don't have much time left before the presidential elections on March 4th. I'm extremely impressed by their dedication and their commitment to free and fair elections. But I wonder whether it will have much impact on the powers that be in Russia or even in St. Petersburg.